Day 2 of the 2012 ITEC show featured a Morning Presidents panel, which included panelists discussing the Chinese tire tariffs, increasing raw material costs, and rubber alternatives, and more.
Would anybody like to talk about some of the ramifications of how the market may change as a result of, let's start out with the tariffs actually coming off. John, do you have any thought on that?
Yeah, well, I think the industry was preparing for the tariffs to come off because the lack of information up until last few days ago wasn't coming out of the administration. But so I think a lot of people have reduced inventories on Chinese product in preparation for potentially lower pricing coming in. There's probably a lot of tires out on the water right now that are set to come in, in a couple of weeks and thereafter to get inventories back in line. So those tires are coming. Obviously the effect on pricing can vary depending on the manufacturer. There's a ton of Chinese manufacturers that are importing tires over here or exporting tires over here. And, if you look at what happened when the tariff was implemented, most of what we saw in the marketplace wasn't a full tariff price up. You had, in many cases, maybe half of the price of the actual tariff went up the first year. And it seems like that ratio has been fairly consistent throughout the 3 years of the tariff as the tariff had came down. So wherever that pricing comes in, I hear a lot of rumors. Is that 12%, 15%? Is it a little bit higher than that? I think it can vary. I think it's going to have to take time to work its way out if that happens. There is still some inventory and some inventory in a lot of different places, whether it's a distributor, manufacturers, whatever. As the lower price stuff comes in with the higher price, it may take a period of time for the real stable price, if we ever get to a stable price, for that to occur. So that would be if the tariff comes off. Obviously, if it doesn't come off, then we got a lot of tires coming in at potentially the tariff high price. So
let's talk about switching gears a little bit here. Another big issue are raw materials, and part of that, and why everybody in this room is interested, is because it's raised the price of tires pretty dramatically over the last few years. And one of the big pushes that I've noticed recently in the tire industry is there's a lot of companies out there looking for alternatives to natural rubber from rubber trees. I know John Bridgestone is working on Waiuli cultivation and research. I think he bought some land out in Arizona for a big plantation there. So can you tell us a little bit about what Bridgestone is doing in this area, and what is the motivation behind the push, and what do you hope to gain from all of this as a company?
Well, the motivation is obviously to have more future certainty on access to raw materials, to try to find better cost alternatives to current volatility in natural rubber, synthetic rubber over the last 2 or 3 years has been really crazy. At one point, I think natural rubber was up 2.5 times over about a 2-year window, and that obviously causes a lot of havoc. Prices have kind of come down here in the last few months, but now they're starting to creep up. Mentioned QE3 earlier. That could have an effect on commodities going back up again. So a lot of uncertainty with natural rubber. We're reliant on certain parts of the world for natural rubber, and sometimes those things can be pretty volatile when people are speculating and holding stocks of the rubber. And so there's a lot of uncertainty as we go forward. So as we invest in alternative solutions for it, like what we're doing in Arizona, we're also been working for several years with things like Russian dandelions, having all of our research and development, working with different institutions around the globe.
Very good. Chris, I know Cooper's also active in this area and is partnering with a company called Ulex Corp to work on the issue of natural rubber. Why did Cooper decide to partner with this company on this really at this time? And what do you, same question really, what do you hope to gain from this? And How soon could we expect to see some results?
It's because Bridgestone wouldn't partner with us. You look at raw materials, and you're talking 50 to 60% of the cost of a tire is tied up within raw materials. And you've seen when you go, a consumer goes into a retail store and you look at the cycle of buying a tire, and over the last 2 to 4 years, they come into a store today and they're looking at a 40 to 60% increase in the price of the tire. So they have significant sticker shock, and a large part of that's driven by the volatility of raw materials that we really don't have a lot of control of, especially Cooper. We're not vertically integrated. We rely heavily on our supply base to bring innovations to Cooper. In the last 2 years, Chuck Yurkovich, who's our head of technical for Global, has been successful in going out and looking at different ways to try to get that security of supply to help us reduce that volatility. We've received 2 major grants in the last 2 years. One of them was with the Department of Energy, where it's focused on reducing the weight of the tire and also increasing the fuel economy. But that weight of the tire ultimately allows us more access to use that additional material somewhere else in the supply chain, as the demand for rubber and other natural resources continues to grow. So it's not just about the reduction of the weight, but also about the use of raw materials. The other grant is with the USDA, and we're partnering with ULEX and several others on the alternative material, again, largely because of the volatility and our ability. We want to ensure that we have a long-term alternative source to not be leveraged by the supply base to take some of that volatility out. But we also believe that this alternative material could have some performance enhancements to products as well. And again, you look at where products are going in the high performance segment. Those are areas that we feel that there may be some properties that some of these new materials may be able to bring to us.
Very good. Paolo, would you like to comment on that? Or?
Yeah, I want to make a comment, a non-political comment on the previous point.
Okay.
Which is the following. I mean, likely not all tires are the same. And the technology component in the tire is really, really significant. Again, coming into this industry from outside, I learned very quickly how important the tire is to the performance of the car, how key it is, and the amount of technology and R&D that we put into these tires. So as we look at the market, we need to look at the segments. So the impact of the tariffs is going to be on certain segments. I hope there's not going to be overreaction in prices everywhere, because not all tires are the same. As a matter of fact, we concentrate as Pirelli very heavily on that high end, on those premium cars, on those premium fitments, and there's a big difference. And I think that ties into the raw material question, because obviously the amount of money and effort that we spend in research on the raw materials is significant. And besides the points that John and Chris raised, which are key, the stability, the pricing and everything, the performance enhancement that you can do through the R&D and work on the raw material on the non-general purpose compound is huge. And everything is driven by the OEMs. They're very demanding, every month, demanding. They really started out by saying that they want a compound that does this, and we provide that, but then all of a sudden all of the other features that are somehow reacting to that single feature, they want the best as well. And you reach those levels only if you work very, very much with the suppliers and raw materials on the specific purpose compound, on the new material. And the results that we're seeing is that the more you work on that, the better the overall performance, not just on specific features, say rolling resistance, but on the overall balance of what performance of the tire.